Today I will explain you the Paragon system of Diablo 4. Of course, we will go over all the basics, but the core of this guide is supposed to be the different mechanics you can use that help you to craft your perfect Paragon board all by yourself. So let's jump right in. Like I said, let's start with the basics. For the more experienced players, the video of course has chapters, so you just jump to your preferred information. Diablo 4 actually has a level cap of 50, and this is considered the early game, where you're using skill points to determine the best build that fits your playstyle. And after level 50, you can enter a new level 100 cap, which means you stop gaining skill points and instead gain Paragon points. To be more specific, you gain 4 Paragon points per level up, which gives us a total of 200 points from leveling. And then you can complete the renown rewards of each area for another 4 points each. So our grand total of Paragon points we can spend is 220 pieces. Here we can see the starter board. The basic setup of this board is the same for every class. And this board right here contains of different nodes. So this little tile, for example, is called a node. If they are white, those are normal nodes. And then can have stuff like 5 intelligence, 5 dexterity, 5 willpower, 5 strength. You can always only select something that is right next to it. So you cannot go diagonal. You always have to go left, right, up or down. And now we are coming to a blue one. The blue ones are magic nodes, and they give slightly better things. So for example, here we're having 5% non-physical damage. Then, next up are the yellow nodes. Those are rare nodes. They give even better stats. So here 10 physical damage and 10 intelligence. And now you have also unlocked bonus potential. So if our board has is able to unlock 200 intelligence, we would then get another 10% non-physical damage added to it. And this is basically how we are moving. And here now we are having this red node right here. This is a Glyph socket. So as soon as we go there, we can then select a Glyph. So let's take the adapt Glyph just as an example here. And it says for every 5 intelligence within range, mastery skills gain plus 3% increased damage. And if we have 40 int in this range, we are getting another 20% increased area onto our mastery skills. So here it is important to know now which Glyph do you put in which Glyph socket. This is really important. And to figure this out, you need to know how much intelligence is in the area where you want to place your Glyph. So just as an example, here in this Glyph socket, we are having 70 in total that can be unlocked. So we would be able to get a 14% multiplier on the bonus. So that would mean that if we put this Glyph right here, we would get 42% mastery skill damage just from the first bonus. So you may be asking yourself now, where do you actually get those Glyphs from? The Glyphs will drop in nightmare dungeons. Once you complete them and you kill the boss, you can drop them. And also important is Glyphs can have a value from level 0 to level 20. They will always drop at level 0. And whenever you are completing a dungeon, a nightmare dungeon to be more specific, you will then gain experience for the Glyph of your choice. And you can allocate the points from the dungeon run into your Glyph to level it up. And if you want to do this in advance to build your guide, you can basically go on this website right here, the loaf rate calculator, also in the description. And here you can then select a Glyph at which value you want it. So for example, we've already talked about the adapt Glyph that gets 3% increased damage for every 5 intelligence. So if you're looking at it this way, like having 5 intelligence more or less is not that big of a deal, right? It's only 3%. But if that Glyph would be level 20, we are talking about 14.4% per 5 intelligence. And as you remember, we were having a multiplier of 14 here, which means if we're going 14 times 14.4, we are having a possible multiplier here of 201.6%. That is insane. And this is also the reason why it is so important that you make those correct decisions and don't just eyeball the stuff. And to help you where to perfectly place your glyph, there's this great document here from Don the Crown. Shout out to him for creating this in the first place and of course agreeing to let me use it for my content. So here I will just show you quickly how to go over it and how to do it. In the glyph section right here, you will see the max value glyphs can get. So on their scaling. This helps on this side right here. This helps you a lot to determine how great the total value of a glyph are to decide which glyph do you actually want to take. And once you are, for example, at the spot where you want to take a glyph, you have decided, yes, this is really good, you can then check out where to get the highest value from. Those are those next tabs. So you're just looking at your class, because every class has different boards. Here, for example, I'm just going with the sorcerer. And let's say I want to place a glyph with an intelligence scaling. So which boards do I go for? And here you can see the total value of the glyphs you can get. So basically here on Searing Heat, in the area of the glyph, we would have a total of 70 in, so it's probably one of the best boards. If you want to figure out the best board, you always have the best board option up here. So basically, Static Search would have one more intelligence and one more scaling option if you would place it in there. Of course, this is just an indicator. You also need to make sure that the glyph you are placing is not only like best in slot from point wise, but also gives like the best bonus to the surrounding nodes. But this is a really good indicator, and I guarantee you, if you don't use a tool like this, it's going to be really, really hard to actually get a board going that is perfect. Now let's take a look on some little tips to actually improve your board. So at this point, you should have understood the basics, right? You have maybe created your own board before, but you want to optimize it to actually get everything going perfectly. And therefore, you can take a look at little notches like here, where you can find little squares. So you remember, for example, that we were having rare nodes that need to meet a specific bonus. So here it's 270 intelligence. That's probably nothing we're going to be meeting. But let's just say for this purpose that we would need to meet 280 willpower to be getting a bonus on a node. And then we can look at spaces like here where we are always going into the same direction, but we can make a choice. So this is easy to switch up. So right here we're having 5 dexterity, and right here we're having 5 willpower. So we can change this up easily. Our path is not different. It's an easy fix, and we got to the 80 willpower. And this is one of the main ways you can take a look at the board to squeeze out some of the last points. This also works in a higher scale if you're able to find those 6 node pieces right here, where you are now able to exchange, for example, those 2 for those 2. It's still the same concept, but this is something you can look out for to basically optimize your pathing. And then you can also always look for different direct pathings. So here, for example, we could save one node. If we are seeing here, we are having 3 nodes, right? And if we are going like this, we have found another connection and we have saved one more node. You can see it right here. We are now have 5 remaining. And yeah, this is also ways you should always check your pathing if it is correct or not. So now we have learned about the Paragon boards, but how can we actually determine if our board is good or not, or if our board is better than someone else's board? And there's currently one way to do it. So right here in this build calculator, we are seeing our stats on top. This is good enough to determine if we are meeting the effects of a rare node. So here, for example, we have 339 willpower, so we're getting the bonus from this node right here. But what we also can do is like clear our skill tree, clear our gear and skills, so remove everything. So we're just having the Paragon stats, then going to the stat tab right here, and then we can see the values that we are getting. So for example, like the sport has 88.3% damage versus elite, 50% damage versus burning, 145 damage non-physical, 50% damage from fire, like your skills. Like you can get this going like really easy, and then you can compare the values of the boards. There's only one downside at the moment. This is the fact that the Glyphs are not calculated in here, but they do have it on their work list, and it will be up in the next days, I'm pretty sure. So if you want to do this at the moment, you should also go to the love rate calculator right here, where you are then able to select, like I just showed you, the Glyph value to level 20, and you would have to do the math yourself to calculate this, the Glyphs on top of this. And if you have all of this, then you basically have the total value of your board. And then if someone else sends you his build, for example, and you want to compare it, you just do it for his build as well. And then you can actually compare the values of the boards. No more guessing around. You will just know by fact which board is better than the other. I really hope this guide was helpful for you and prevents you from doing bad decisions in your char building process. If you have any more questions, let me know in the comments. I will always answer everything in less than 24 hours. If you want to discuss your choice or builds, I highly recommend joining my Discord server to meet like-minded people. And the last thing before this video ends, on the 4th of June, I have started with a unique live streaming concept on Twitch, where we will play hardcore only. And if I die, this will trigger a community event. So basically you can then win prizes out of the cash shop, like skins, battle passes, and mounts. So don't forget to subscribe to not miss out. Cheers.